A lot of updates coming into Hungary. McLaren brought their upgrades, but they didn't bring the Macarena wings. They are smart. They don't want to fall into the same Red Bull are falling into because they don't really know how the Macarena wings it works yet. So they want to know how it works before they bring it. Then Red Bull have removed their Macarena wings. They came with their normal wings so that they would be on the safer side and also not put Ferrari under a threat in which they are not meant to be. I think that's the reason. But Red Bull looks faster in Belgium because Belgium track is one of the tracks that demands power. When you have a track that demands power, you need to give it optimum power. So I think what Red Bull are trying to do now is let's see what works with these wings. Former wings they had, they changed to the Macarena around Miami, I think. Yeah, Miami or Canadian Miami Grand Prix. So now they've gone back to their conventional wings. And it's fast. They are the fastest in FP1. They look better and is something that Ferrari will be looking at. Macarena or normal one, but I think for Ferrari the Macarena is better. They are trying to improve on it. They want to make it much more better. Ferrari were second closer. They were about few tenths away from the fastest Red Bull, which is Max Verstappen, with Leclerc following Lewis Hamilton in third and Isaac Kaja in fourth, just 2 tenths away from his teammate, which means Isaac Kaja is closing up. He's faster. Is not unlike the other Red Bull drivers, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson. I think Checo Perez was not that far in 2021, 22, but he started going far in 2023, 24. It was a tough one for him. I think the Red Bull will be able to look at where they are, though they have no ado because now it's showing that they have the best engine. With the performance of their engine presently, Mercedes are sandbagging. They are not really far off because if you look at the Oscar Piastri race simulation, Oscar Piastri was the second faster than Lewis Hamilton's the race simulation. Oscar Piastri was the faster McLaren, was the faster Mercedes powertrain engine. So with that, you should know it's not that Mercedes are far off. Mercedes are closer, but they might be sandbagging. They need to do some tuning ups. FP2, FP3, Mercedes will start showing their hand. I believe that is what will happen. That will make sense. But I think it's going to be a very interesting one. If they're able to put everything together, we should see the Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes very close. Then the others like 1 second, 2 seconds behind. And in the main race, to be a different race. We saw in Silverstone that other teams were in another race. Those guys, the Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull were in a different race. As in, they were a lap ahead, 2 laps to the guys that were driving Aston Martin, totally a lap away from those guys driving the other cars. So it's going to be crazy. Coming into the longest track on the calendar, that's the Belgian track, seeing what they will be doing, I think it's going to be crazy. Already Aston Martin are looking like 5-6 seconds slower, which is supposed to be F2 car, probably. So it's crazy to see what is going to happen in the main race. But I think it's going to be funny and very interesting. The Alpine has gone back. As looks like they've gone back. I'm not sure As has brought any upgrades since Monaco. Cost cap, then they need to have enough money. Even Alpine has money, but they're trying to see how they can get competitive first. For everybody is looking at what they need to bring, what they need to do to make the car faster. But some of these teams are not bringing faster upgrades first because they are bringing faster upgrades. Then it's going to be very, very interesting. Like Ferrari, we know they didn't put every of their eggs in the basket coming into the season. Now they are chasing after Mercedes, and Mercedes is like, where are they getting money? Because Mercedes spend a bunch of their budget on their car that was faster. Now they said, oh no, they would upgrade the car next year, develop it. Now they are developing faster because Ferrari are developing at the speed of knots. So it's going to be very interesting seeing how the battle of development goes this season. But here presently, I think by FP2, FP3, we start seeing the end of Mercedes. They will get closer. The times will tumble down. I think we are going to get clock 2 minutes out of this time we are presently having. Like 1 minute 45, we saw Max Verstappen 1 minute 47 knots. So we should be seeing 1 minute 45, probably 1 minute 45, 1 minute 44. There is qualifying late 1 minute 44, early 1 minute 45. But we are going to see the time tumble down seriously, and it's going to be very interesting to see what these guys will be doing with their engine, with their power unit, and how they are going to be really pushing for performances. Up until FP2, we catch it up and see what we can improve upon and what they've brought together. So, as if I knew the FP2 would be a little bit faster, but only Kimi Antonelli was able to go into the 1 minute, into the early 1 minute 45 seconds. He did a 1 minute 45.944, which seems fast. That's about a whole minute over what they did in FP1, and that whole minute makes a whole lot of sense, and it tells you that these cars are going to be getting faster. Mercedes came up in FP2 and they were much more better, they're much more brighter, and we saw what Mercedes can do. So tomorrow, everybody will find performance, will find time. Lewis Hamilton and the others were able to get into 1 minute 46, but Lewis Hamilton about 7 tenths behind him, 1 minute 46. 1 minute 46.6. That is huge. But for someone like Norris that didn't really do well in FP1, coming a tenth behind Kimi Antonelli looks crazy. But like I said, we knew the Mercedes will come up to the game. The Red Bull still look fast because the power dependent circuit. So now we know, like I've always said, Red Bull has a bad orientation of their aerodynamics. Unlike before, that Red Bull are always sharp too. Now is a dynamics issue for their rear wings. I think that they know now that that's where their problem is. On the power, they are good. The Gasly caused the red flag during the session, but now if you are looking at it, a lot of people brought upgrades. Most of them brought rear wings, track specific. Ferrari didn't really bring any upgrades, but I think with tuning their Macarena, we thought they would bring an upgraded Macarena, but no. McLaren, like I said earlier, they brought new rear wings, track specific, but not in Macarena. But when they can be able to get much time out. I know some teams are still sandbagging. Probably Ferrari will come up with their main whatever tomorrow, as in they might tune up the engine tomorrow and we'll see how fast they can be. Like I said, they will still get into probably 1 minute 44. That's how fast they will go, 1 minute 44. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they will mix everything up and be able to come out with a very, very good and intelligent strategy for the front four to bunch up and those at the rear to also do something great. But like I've always said, it's going to be an interesting one to see how it all pans out, because now we are seeing that in the FP2 the Alpine turned it up. They were into the 1 minute. The Alpines were into the 1 minute 47, in which they were not there in the morning. They were far off, and Fernando Alonso and his teammates, they closed the gap a bit by tenths, but still are not there. They're about 2 seconds away from the Cadillac. They are bringing upgrades, we don't know yet, but if they are by race 9-10, they are still a long way behind Cadillac. It really shows how prepared they were for this season. And no matter what the upgrades they bring, I don't see their upgrades really getting beyond Williams. They can't gain 3 seconds in an upgrade, except there's something special they are bringing. But I don't see them gaining 3 seconds. They brought their hardware engine. 3 seconds, I don't see them covering 3 seconds. If they're covering 3 seconds, they'll still be in the battle of the backbenchers. They are talking about Williams. We're talking about us. We're talking about Cadillac. We're talking about them. Aside from that, so it's going to be a very tough one. It's a very, very tough season for them. Let's see how they all run out. But FP3 qualifying tomorrow, a lot of people will be turning up, so we'll be getting into the probably early 1 minute 44 or middle 44, but that's where the qualifying will be. It's going to be very interesting because everybody's going to show their hands, and it's going to be very, very close, very, very close tomorrow for the pole position. But now I can't tell you who takes pole, but it's going to be very close. Up until tomorrow, we catch. I love you, Inspired. Cheers.